Alright, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start off by giving the higher praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasam, Yahweh, Bahasam, Makrak, Wadash. Okay, double honors to the elders, sing honors to the apostles, preaching and teaching us the word of truth with sincerity and love. Okay, all praise, glory to Yahweh, Manassas. Anyway, I'm going to continue on in this lesson and get into this lesson here. And this lesson is going to be going into the prayer of Manassas here. Okay, of course they got to paint Manassas here as an Edomite, looking like an Edomite out here. Old as hell. So here, Manassas, this is actual fun fact. This was one of the longest reigning kings of Judah. King Judah here. I'm gonna put this one here. After him is Uzziah. Uzziah ruled 52 years. Manassas here, he reigned 55 years here. He became king at age 12. So he would have died like at 64. He would have been 64 when he died. Uzziah here, he ruled 52 years. Come on, so Jeroboam here, he ruled 41 years. So yeah, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, Uzziah would be second in line to that title, that honor of ruling the longest in Southern Kingdom, and they ruled longer than all the kings of any of the other kings in Northern Kingdom. They ruled longer. It's just excuse the noise. I noticed that there's a noise in the background and shit. It's my fucking Jeep. It's old 2007 Jeep. I need to get this shit fixed. So just bear with the noise. For some reason, I just don't want to drive I got another Equinox 2014. It's nothing fancy. It's the 2014 shit. I can't use that shit right now because that thing is, I gotta get that one fixed too anyway. And I'm just I've just been used to using this one. I really don't want to mess the other one up. That's really what it is. So just bear with the noise in the back. I noticed last time it sounds like some instrumental playing. It's not no instrumental in the background. Nothing wrong with instrumentals if you use that. Whereas you may use that, but it's just not it's not what it is. But it is what it is. I just barely noticed that. So but anyway, continuing on in this lesson here, this is the lesson of Manassas, prayer of Manassas. Let's just go into Wikipedia. The cheat code. I'm gonna just use the cheat code here in Wikipedia here. When you go into Manassas, you can read about Manassas in 2 Kings and also in First Chronicles, if I'm not mistaken, or either First or Second Chronicles. I'm barely just got now in the book of First Chronicles, 6th chapter. The prayer of Manasseh is a short penitential prayer. I'm gonna look that word up here. I want to look this word up. Basically, let's look this word here.
Penitential.
Penitential, relating to or expressing penitence or penance. Atonement, voluntary self-punishment inflicted as an outward expression of repentance for having done wrong.
Expiation.
Expiation, the act of making amends or reparation for guilt or wrongdoing. Atonement. That's what we try to do every day by prayer. Most of the time by prayer. Sometimes or very rarely, but through a fast. However you may do it, whatever works for you. It says in the 2nd or 1st century BC, it is recognized that it could also have been written in the first half of the 1st century AD, but in any case before the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 AD. It says another work by the same title written in Hebrew was found among the Dead Sea Scrolls. Okay, so the prayer of Manasseh was basically found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. It was just the title. None of the verses were in it. But basically, I would consider that the same thing anyway. Manasseh is recorded in the Bible as one of the most idolatrous kings of Judah. 2 Kings 21, 1-18. 2 Chronicles 33, verse 1-9. The second book of Chronicles, but not the second book of Kings, records that Manasseh was taken captive by the Assyrians in 2 Chronicles 33, 11-13. While a prisoner, Manasseh prayed for mercy, and upon being freed and restored to the throne, turned from his idolatrous ways. 2 Chronicles 33, 15-17. A reference to a penitential prayer, but not the prayer itself, is made in 2 Chronicles 33, verse 19, which says that the prayer is written in the annals of the kings of Israel. Let's get the account in 2 Kings 21. I'm going to get the account in 2 Kings 21. Anyways, 2 Kings 21. Verse 1, Manasseh was 12 years old when he began to reign, and reigned 55 years in Jerusalem. 2, he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, after the abominations of the heathen, whom the Lord cast out before the children of Israel. For he built up again the high places which Hezekiah his father had destroyed. Oh yeah, by the way, his father was Hezekiah. Which is weird, because you would think that if you had a righteous father, Hezekiah was a righteous man, he wouldn't have followed after the ways of Jeroboam. It says, and he reared up altars for Baal and made a grove, as did Ahab, king of Israel, and worshipped all the hosts of heaven and served them. And he built altars in the house of the Lord, with which the Lord said, in Jerusalem will I put my name. And he built altars for all the hosts of heaven in the two courts of the house of the Lord. And he made his sons pass through the fire. Or his son, singular, his son. It doesn't say sons, but it says his son passed through the fire and observed the times and used enchantments and dealt with familiar spirits and wizards. He wrought much wickedness in the sight of the Lord to provoke him to anger. He set a graven image of the grove that he had made in the house, of which the Lord said to David and to Solomon his son, in this house and in Jerusalem, which I have chosen, out of all tribes of Israel will I put my name forever. 9. But they hearkened not, and Manasseh seduced them to do more evil than did the nations whom the Lord had destroyed before the children of Israel. Yep. 16, and also says this, that Manasseh shed a lot of blood, innocent blood. It says, moreover, Manasseh shed innocent blood very much till he had filled Jerusalem from one end to another. Beside his sin, wherewith he made Judah to sin in doing that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. Okay. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yashai, the sight of the Lord. Lord's name is Yahweh, his son's name is Yahweh Shai. And then this ends about Manasseh pretty much in verse 18. Now I want to get this one here. I want to get this one here in the account in 2 Chronicles 33, 1-9. Second Chronicles 33, verse 1-9. This is the other account about Manasseh. Manasseh was 12 years old when he began to reign. It pretty much says the same thing as said there about the accounts of wickedness he did, certain sins that he committed. When you go to verse 10, and the Lord spoke to Manasseh and his people, but they would not hearken. 11, wherefore the Lord brought upon them the captains of the hosts of the king of Assyria, which took Manasseh among the thorns, and bound him with fetters, and carried him to Babylon. And he was in affliction, and he besought the Lord his God, and humbled himself greatly before the God of his powers, and prayed unto him, and he was entreated of him, and heard his supplication, and brought him again to Jerusalem and to his kingdom. Then Manasseh knew that the Lord was God. Now after this he built a wall without the city of David on the west side of Gihon, in the valley, even to the entering in at the fish gate, and compassed about upheld, and raised it up a very great heights, and put captains of war in all the fenced cities of Judah. And he took away the strange gods and the idol out of the house of the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, and all the altars that he had built in the mounts of the house of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, and in Jerusalem, and cast them out of the city. And he repaired the altar of the Lord, and sacrificed thereon peace offerings and thank offerings. And he commanded Judah to serve the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, God of Israel, power of Israel. Nevertheless, the people did sacrifice still in the high places, yet unto the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, their God only. Now the rest of the acts of Manasseh, and his prayer unto his God, and the words of the seers that spake to him in the name of the Yahweh, power of Israel, God of Israel, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, behold, they are written in the book of the kings of Israel. The prayer is not written in the book of the kings of Israel. It's in a whole separate other book in the Apocrypha. Now, it probably was originally in the book of the 2 Kings, 1 Kings, one of them. 2 Kings, I would expect. I don't know. His prayer also, and how God was entreated of him and all his sins and his trespass, and the places wherein he built high places and set up groves and graven images before he was humbled. Behold, they are written among the sayings of the seers. So Manasseh slept with his fathers, and they buried him in his own house, and Ammon his son reigned in his stead. Khan. So Manasseh there. There you have Manasseh, Manassas. It doesn't state the exact year of his reign when they took him. They speculate here in this bullet point, the first bullet point, with the first main bullet point is the first main of the two. This is the first of the two main historical theories regarding the timing of the event. It says, during the reign of Esarhaddon, some interpretations, including the chronology of James Ussher, suggest the capture took place around 676 BCE, which would be approximately the 22nd year of Manasseh's 55-year reign. So if that is in the 22nd year of Manasseh's 55-year reign, he reigned when he was 12. That would have been, if you do the math, 12 plus 22 plus 12, 34. He would have been 34 years old when he was taken prisoner, and that would be when he would have repented. Now, this actually reminds me of another king that of Israel later on in the future would come later, who would have repented as well. Okay, but he wouldn't have gotten released until years later. It doesn't say how long Manassas was in prison. Yeah, it doesn't mention that how long he might have been locked up for, but anyway, let's continue on though to the main subject. That's really not the main gist of it. The main gist is that he repented. Yeah, he repented and sought mercy, and eventually the Lord heard his prayers. It says, an Assyrian victory settled from 671 BCE shows Esarhaddon holding captive kings in a manner similar to the biblical description. Here, that's the end of the first bullet point, the first main historical theory regarding the timing of the event. Here's the second one. It says, during a rebellion against King Ashurbanipal, other scholars theorize that Manasseh's imprisonment occurred later, between 652 and 648 BCE. This was during a large-scale rebellion led by Ashurbanipal's brother, the king of Babylon. If Manasseh was involved or suspected of disloyalty, he would have been taken to Babylon during this conflict. The precise date is difficult to confirm because the Syrian records, while mentioning Manasseh as a vassal, do not provide details of his imprisonment. Okay. They even got archaeology of the Manasseh. What this is? This is a website called BibleIsrealiteHistory.com. Published February 12th, 2021. The title is King Manasseh, an Archaeological Biography. Although the first 11 years were likely a co-regency with his father Hezekiah. So if that's true, it would have been 23 when he started ruling by himself after his father Hezekiah passed. It's also rumored that he might just have sawed Isaiah the prophet in half, because when the scripture to prove it, that's likely possibly happened, is that it's Jewish tradition. Basically, it's a Jewish tradition. Because it says Isaiah probably lived to its close and possibly into the reign of Manasseh. The time and manner of his death are not specified in either the Bible or other primary sources. The Talmud says that he suffered martyrdom by being sawed in two under the orders of Manasseh. So that's what the Talmud says. It says, the Bible does not describe how the prophet Isaiah died, but extra biblical traditions, particularly the Jewish Talmud and later Christian texts, claim he was martyred by being sawed in two by King Manasseh of Judah. According to these traditions, Isaiah hid in a tree to escape Manasseh, but the king had the tree sawed in half, resulting in Isaiah's death. It does say King Manasseh shed innocent blood, and the date of Isaiah did obviously Isaiah helped to free Isaiah helped to pray for Manasseh to take them Assyrians, 185,000 specifically. One angel took out, because as prophet Isaiah intermediated for Hezekiah as well, for the Lord to have mercy upon the kingdom of Judah at that time of Manasseh's father's reign, Hezekiah. So it would make sense, and I personally believe that through the spiritual discernment that Manasseh did kill Isaiah. Something through the spirit that I believe. And I believe in that. I'm not going to say what specific brother, but I believe Manasseh is here today, alive, present day, preaching the word in the GMS camp. I'm not going to say what specific brother, but yeah, he carries the spirit of a king, like how Manasseh would carry his spirit, I believe. So yeah, man, sometimes other dudes get luckier though than others in sins, because Jehoiachin here, he didn't get released that easily. And did he? No, he didn't. And I believe Jehoiachin is here today too, preaching this word, right? Yeah. That's just a little side note there, man. That's basically like the gist of the story there, man. Yeah, man. Let's leave it at that one. Alright, let's see this one. Let's see, okay, it says in Assyrian inscriptions, Manasseh and the kingdom of Judah are only mentioned in the list of Serbian kings/states. Manasseh and Esarhaddon's annals. So there you go, man. And like I've said before, you literally have archaeology, man, to link back to every single character in the scriptures, man. I believe you have archaeology that can link you back to the Maccabees and their war that they had with Antiochus. Okay, they have found Greek styled built camps, forts near Judah, where it says in the account of First and Second Maccabees, where the location where he was camped at, with arrowheads, with his inscription on them, Antiochus' inscription on them. You have archaeology of menorahs, which proves that the Maccabees existed as well, because a part of the story of Maccabees, a big thing of it called Hanukkah, is the menorah. Yeah, Hanukkah goes back to that holy day. Then you have Manasseh and Ashurbanipal's annals. It says this 10-faced cuneiform cylinder includes a record of Ashurbanipal's campaigns against Egypt and the Levant, it states. It says here on the index of the photo, under the photo, it says Rassam Prism contains the annals of Ashurbanipal, who records a tribute brought by Manasseh, king of Judah. It says, in my first campaign, I marched against Egypt and Ethiopia, Tirhakah, king of Egypt, and Nubuya, whom Esarhaddon, king of Assyria, my own father, had defeated, and in whose country he Esarhaddon had ruled. Okay.